Hey, everybody. It is October 29th, 2024. Gigantic Pop coming at you with NXT on the CW coverage. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Matt Morgan. And tonight, the women of NXT continue their dominance in the show.
Brother, mid-card women's, if we're really ranking everybody right now on that roster, stole it. It should have been in the spot they were in tonight. They crushed it.
I mean, dude, NXT kind of is becoming the women's show. We talked about, they need a separate women's show.
I agree.
It's kind of NXT right now.
Their characters are more developed. I don't know how to say it any other way.
Yeah, that main event tonight,
Badass.
It was good. Well, the main event was good, but it was like, dude, a Heritage Cup match. I mean, we had two men's matches tonight. We had two major women's matches, plus actually three with Zarya.
Bubba, right?
Yeah, so it was good, but man, they're really building up next Wednesday. Special night at the ECW Arena in Philadelphia. That should be good. Jordan Gray showed up tonight. That was cool.
Oh my God, that was a great surprise. I didn't know she was coming.
Yeah, Zarya did her in-ring debut this evening. Great.
So can you explain to folks who she is and her background, or do you not know?
She's Delta, was her indie name. She's from Australia. She really is the third part of the trifecta, right? When they signed Julia and Stephanie Vicaire, Delta was the other big signing. And what's crazy about this, Matt, is and I love having them all in NXT. NXT doesn't need any of them. Like, this is just like icing upon icing.
It's the old adage, embarrassment of riches, and it's not an exaggeration. It's fact. Mm-hmm. It really is fact, Glenn. Like, this women's division can give any of WWE, SmackDown, or Raw women's divisions an absolute run for their money.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. And we did see some overlap with the main roster women's division tonight. So we're gonna talk a little bit and run down just some matches. My one critique though, man, NXT is not as densely packed with segments and variety on the CW. There's more commercials. Mm-hmm. These shows are still very good, but it's very basic, the amount of matches.
What do you want to see? More backstage crap?
Yeah, I like the Muppet Show feel on USA. Okay. I like the weirdness, you know. It's more polished now. It's a more polished show.
And that's a Cody Rhodes' point. To his point, he tried to make the point. I'm gonna try to make it for him better than he did when he said, like, this is its own brand now. It doesn't feel like a developmental show as much, and then called it like a show for grooming. No, it's not. I think it's its own entity.
Use that term in WWE.
I know that was a terrible word choice by Cody, but that's the word he used. Look it up.
Yeah. As Ricky saying, it's no longer the Muppet Show of wrestling. But okay, so I want to talk about this big news today because this is super important to NXT. WWE announced today WWE ID, which is going to be their partnership with the Indies and having official WWE local wrestling promotions and schools that are part of this network, including Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Factory, Booker's Reality of Wrestling. And what they're going to do with this is, I did not see OVW on the list today. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Let me look up. Was a great trainer. Come on.
I know. Let me look up the complete list. Let's get the complete list and make sure that we have this correct, because it is out there. And they did have a press release today. So Elite Pro Wrestling, in Concord, New Hampshire, Black and Brave, Seth's school.
Seth's, yep.
Knox Pro Wrestling in Los Angeles. Good. Yeah, OVW.
That's Kishi and them in Vegas.
Absolutely. But that's kind of a big oversight, Matt. And you know what? I've not seen that mentioned today at all about OVW not being included. That is interesting.
It is, but hey, you know what? This is good for those. Is this to Raj's point he was always making about WWE trying to make these strides to not seem to have a monopoly in the business by acting like they're helping these other companies? Do you think, Glenn?
See, I think it's actually the opposite, which is funny that they aren't doing the TNA investment that I speculated, because
I wish they did. Yeah.
because what they're doing with this is they're saying, like, not only are we going to have tryouts and opportunities and ways to bring in new talent as they graduate in their journey, but they even said we're going to have this platform, WWE ID, where we're going to feature some of these small independent up and coming wrestlers and
Where?
even give them on the WWE ID platform. It probably is going to be on social media to start.
Wow. Okay.
But
is
they said
big
they're going to
news.
give them money, Matt, and I'm predicting it right
Wow.
now. Let me tell you what the big controversy is going to be
What?
is going to be as soon as they do one of these money deals
Yeah.
with one of these indie wrestlers and the contract leaks. Because I guarantee you that contract is going to say that for WWE giving them this promotion and a little bit of cash,
They can't work anywhere else.
WWE's going to get an option on them.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
It's kind of like a first look deal. It's like after Tough Enough. I'm sure it was in your Tough
So
Enough
first
contract.
right of refusal, basically?
Exactly. That
That's
was in your Tough
fair.
Enough contract, right?
But that's fair. If they're putting them in front of, millions or hundreds of thousands or thousands, whatever it ends up being, of people that would not normally see them when they're
I
wrestling
agree.
in their home indie company.
But I'm telling you, there's going to be a kerfluffle. The first wrestler that looks at this and is like, well, I'm not doing that and post the contract online, people are going to freak out. I'm just telling you right now that's going to happen. I was on a...
Well, then let me back that up. Then that's probably
Yeah.
why they picked those specific companies. They obviously talked and vetted out these companies. One's Seth's, one's Cody's.
Yeah.
Like, where's Lance Storm's Storm Wrestling Academy, for example? He's an amazing trainer, especially with false finishes, by the way. That's where I learned all mine. And Al Snow and OVW and others that are amazing trainers, okay? They have a history of getting people to the big show.
Yeah.
Why aren't they on it? So I have a feeling they vetted those companies out. You don't see GCW on there, I'm guessing. Right. So my point is not a knock on GCW. I'm a fan of them, actually, but I bet you they vetted everybody out.
Oh yeah. And look, this is cool in theory, but if Raj said WWE isn't investing in TNA because they don't want to seem like a monopoly, like this is kind of a reverse territory takeover in a weird way. It's not everywhere.
It's an easy spin, though, Glenn. You said it yourself in the very first statement. It gives these indie companies and these indie wrestlers specifically a much bigger platform to be shown on in their developmental phase, right? In their pre-rookie days, if you will, right? This is like watching LeBron James playing for, St. Vincent, St. Mary's,
Yeah. I mean, I think it is a lot of opportunity, but the question is, what's this going to mean for NXT? Because already NXT on CW, too stacked of a show, right? Too much talent, not enough spots.
Which is crazy, right? Isn't that insane that we're even saying that? But that's the truth.
They got the NIL program bringing in.
I love it. That's how we got that. Well, come on. I'm brain farting on her name now, of course. Oh, come on. Big, tall girl.
Sol Ruka?
Basketball. No.
Oh,
former college basketball player.
Lash Legend.
Yeah. And she was on SmackDown a couple times now.
Yeah, that's right.
She's going to be a star, bro. Watch.
Absolutely. So we've got the NIL program. Then we've got them bringing in some of the best wrestling talent from all over the world. And now the ID program bringing in up-and-coming people from wrestling schools. Level Up ain't going anywhere.
Bro, Triple H is winning. Sorry, he is.
They need more time. They need more TV. They need a developmental program.
I do agree.
Because we want to see this out. And this is what's weird, Matt. I'll say this here. Like, I increasingly care less and less about Raw and SmackDown and more about NXT.
I'm with you. I swear to God, I'm with you. Listen to me. The fact that I went to my TV today tonight to watch this show, I don't watch Raw or SmackDown on my TV. I don't watch anything on my TV. I watch everything here on my phone. Okay.
Yeah.
And the fact that I sat there in my bed and watched the night show because I really wanted to see it, especially the coffin match. I really wanted to watch that. It says a lot for me as a former pro wrestler. That's, we've seen everything as pro wrestlers, right? Former pro wrestler. So like the fact that this company keeps getting me out of my truck from working to come inside and get on my TV finally and watch something, for me personally, speaks volumes of how well that show, specifically NXT, is doing.
And it's just interesting. I think the reality aspect to it, I mean, it's still in kayfabe, but it's like we know where these talents are coming from. We know their stories a bit more.
Yes.
I think about this 10 years ago, Matt. I was in Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia, And we were like, we want to go to a hockey game. There was no major league hockey. There was minor league hockey. We drove to a rec center to watch a minor league hockey game in Canada, in the suburbs of Vancouver. And I was sitting behind these old guys that were talking about prospects and knew everything.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, oh, it's kind of neat. And now I had this realization. I'm like, now I'm becoming those old guys that want to watch developmental because it's so much more interesting.
Glenn, our country is wrapped up in that. Our country's been wrapped up in that. And I'll tell it to you when it happened. Freddie Adu in soccer, LeBron James in basketball. We all came hook, line, and sinker, me included, by the way, of wanting to see the next big thing, right?
Yeah.
We're addicted to it.
Do you think part of that too has to do, and this is like a little out there, but do you think part of this also has to do not so much with the wrestling, but in major league sports, we hear about these $60 million deals, you know, and the insane money that's going around when you talk about the NBA or MLB or the NFL. Do you think part of it too is that it kind of, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying people shouldn't be paid what they're worth, but it kind of takes away some of that love of the game, proving yourself, being on the come up. You
and
know
watching
what I mean?
these cats when they're still got the love for the sport or the game itself.
Yeah.
Before they make their payday. I can see some of that. With real sports though, like basketball, like that's not predetermined. I don't know. Like LeBron James is a great example.
No, I'm not saying they're
somebody
not
who didn't all of a sudden they stopped playing hard because he became a millionaire or a billionaire. That dude's just the other night, you know, is still hitting double digits at age whatever the hell he is now, 40 or whatever the hell it is, 38, 39.
Yeah. No, I just think it's interesting. But WWE's tapped into that. And I think that's always for me when I try and put my finger on it. Like,
I think it's long overdue. I'll be honest with you. When I was in OVW, I used to ask Jimmy, why is our show like not on a national like broadcast yet? Because we're saying that we're tomorrow's superstars today. That's the OVW moniker. That's its brand identification, right? And it's all over the walls and there, etc. And while we were on Kentucky, we used to call it Kentuckiana, television, major television out that way, and we did great ratings, monster ratings, actually, that would beat WWE back in the day. I'm dead serious. I'm not exaggerating that number. But I was like, how did it not make like mainstream TV? Because this was 2002, 2003, 2004, where I would argue society started going the direction you're talking about of wanting to see who's that next athlete that's going to be the next big thing.
And you know, I was addicted to Tough Enough before I started. Tough Enough got me back into every time I fell out of watching WWE, Tough Enough is what got me back into watching it.
Same, like I was always still watching wrestling. I loved Tough Enough, and I also hated it because I was like, I'm a better athlete than all those guys, and I should be on this freaking season 1. And Kevin Kelly.
Oh, season 1 when everyone was quitting because it was too hard.
Yes, and Kevin Kelly didn't turn my tape in on time, and I never got picked for it the first season. And somehow I got a call. I got a call for the second season when I was not even expecting to, because he turned the tape in for the second season. Thankfully. Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin Kelly.
I got to go back and rewatch your season because I've been thinking that in the time I've known you. I'm like, oh, I got it because I watched it live.
You wouldn't even recognize me, brother. I'm like freaking.
No, I remember.
I'm like the Hoover Dam, dude. You could just put a pin in me and I would have friggin' busted water all over everywhere. It was like 382.
Yeah, I remember you were big. But yeah, that was I was like that was prime Tough Enough years, those first 3 seasons for me. But I want to do a rundown tonight of the show. So we have the first ever women's casket match, Tatum Paxley, Wendy Chu. What'd you think of this?
Frigging amazing. Lived up to its billing. And it got some great billing. It got some very big expectations. Wendy Chu's a great character, huge character, very, very deep layered character with her characteristics and what we know about her persona, which is like 3/4 of the battle in the world of wrestling, right?
Yeah.
This was a great spotlight for her opponent, though. And I thought the right person won at the end. I do. It was a great match, though. These girls killed each other out there.
This was good. I mean, this feud's been going on. Their interpersonal dynamic and relationships going on a while now, but it's still great. And I thought for a casket match, this was a lot of fun. Good postscript to Halloween Havoc. Good opening to the show. Really hot match.
Let me ask you this, Glenn. Not to cut you off, but don't you think between the two characters, Wendy Chu's character is more developed?
Well, that's a good question. She's more toyetic, although Tatum, though,
Yes, but we know what she is when she walks out in the first 1 second.
you have to follow to understand. Yes, you have to know a little bit more about what Tatum's story is.
And I'm
Whereas
not
Wendy, you
crapping
just
on
see it.
Tatum, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm just saying this is why this was the right call of why
yeah,
Tatum won.
yeah. And Tatum, I think, has been at a simmer, and they can turn that up to a boil. Wendy, though, I think has been ready for the main roster for show. Even this comeback
I
probably
don't,
should have been on the main
brother,
roster.
I don't trust the main roster with spooky stuff anymore. I just don't.
I honestly, she looks like she could join the Wyatt Six and fit in perfectly.
Okay, but they don't do that right anymore.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. But we went from this to we had the Bubba and Trick promo, so we'll talk about what happened with this. But this
Great
is setting
promo.
up the match. Hey, did you know that Bubba hosts a radio show called Busted Open on SXM? Because
Of course.
they mentioned no, I'm saying because he mentioned it like 50
Oh,
times
sorry.
tonight.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
sorry.
just
I'm
like,
sorry.
was this the agreement for you to do this? Where it was just like everyone's talking about Busted Open.
Sure. That makes sense because that's Bubba's career right now, right?
No, I get
On
it.
that
I get
show.
it.
So that does make sense, and it's fair. Somebody tried to grab me out of retirement to be a tag match. I'm like, okay, I'll tag you for the hot tag. All right, you do all the work.
Yeah, right. But then we went into this Heritage Cup match with Charlie Dempsey versus Lexis King. William Regal
Oof.
in Lexis King's corner. But even with that, Dempsey won.
Such great storytelling. Again, I don't like that he has to bring that cup everywhere he goes. It's super cheesy and corny. And like in these other you said you want more backstage segments. I've
Yeah.
seen a plethora of backstage segments with him and his posse, and he has to walk around with that stupid cup, and it looks corny and cheesy. If I didn't know he wasn't Regal's son, is how I try to determine if I think his act is going to work or not. And it's hard to do because he screams his dad. Like
Yeah.
it just radiates off him that he's William Regal's son. There's no question about it. From everything, his quirks, his mannerisms, his the way he looks physically with longer hair. And God bless him because he grew his hair out to try to differentiate himself from his dad. You can see that from a mile away. But
Yeah.
it screams his dad, and that's a good thing. That's a compliment.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of him. I just think he's still finding himself, though. He needs some more time here to find himself as a character. And I get to give him this trophy to walk around with, 24/7, apparently. And the goal is, hey, does that give him some more characteristics? Does it give him more something to talk about when he's in the promos or in the background of different promo segments? I don't know if that does. I don't think it does, honestly. They need to do better development with him on his quote unquote, what I call onion, those multiple layers that makes a character get over or not. And they need to give him more time to cook, not because he's not ready in the ring. He can wrestle circles around 90% of that WWE main roster talent. He's that damn good in the ring. I'm talking about his character.
Yeah. And I think, Heritage Cup is tough, but this is good for Lexis King. It gives him some more development, some more time. We went right from this though into Zarya versus Brinley Reese. Extensive squash match with Zarya getting a lot of damage on Brinley. What did you think of her in-ring performance? Oh, I lost Matt Morgan. Matt will be back as he sorts out his connection issues. But no, Zarya was really, really cool to see tonight. I thought that her wrestling style was different. I think what Brinley was able to do in selling that elbow and arm extension was really interesting. I mean, Zarya, the way they built her up, she really comes across as a superstar, in this match further proved that out. But Matt, what did you think of Zarya in ring tonight?
Incredibly impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, she was great, man. I think that she
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I gotcha. But any other thoughts? We'll talk about what happened after in a second. Oh,
No, I just thought she was incredibly impressive. And this was another great women's match all around from top to bottom. And again, continues to, in my opinion, brag the NXT girls division is the best I think WWE has. What is going on here? Sorry.
No, it's okay. So after this match, I mean, look, this was great, but then Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade came out. We had Fatal Influence come out to the
It was
ring,
my favorite
and
part.
then
That was my favorite
I
part.
know it was cool, right? Because
Sorry.
it looked like it was 5-on-1. But then we had Kalani Jordan, Julia Stephanie Vaquer came down, and then when Roxanne pointed out it was 4 against 5, Jordan Grace's music hit. And then we had that great Avengers versus X-Men face-off in the ring
Did
before they
we?
started fighting.
Oh, great analogy. Great analogy. And you're not overrating it saying that, by the way. That's spot on.
Yeah, it was cool. But this is going to lead to a 10-woman tag next week.
And I'm down for it. Huge Cora Jade mark for the record. Not bigger than obviously the Juggernaut, but still, she's very close to one of my favorite female wrestlers.
Yeah. No, this was cool how they took all these interwoven stories between the women also and then turned
I
it
agree.
into this face-off, which was nice. Yeah, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be a huge match next week. And man, NXT to their credit, you know, I feel like we've been talking about this for years now, like, oh, NXT is the best women's division. The NXT women's division is so stacked with talent.
They do.
And yeah, I know. And now it's like they're like now it's the show. This was like 60-70% tonight of the talent featured were female.
And it wasn't like not once. If you asked me, hey Matt, what was the stats on female to male ratio match? I would not have been able to tell you that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have, because it's not sticking out anymore. We're like, wow, they're really trying to push some women.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that at all. It was just one blur, one show, and they're all literally equally platformed now, legit as stars. It's not, oh wow, NXT is really trying to go to bat for the girls and getting them more ring time. You don't get that vibe at all.
Yeah. And then we followed that up with Kalani Jordan versus Nikita Lyons. Nikita Lyons coming out looking like a kung fu pirate with that outfit. It was a good look. I mean, it was ambitious and she pulled it off. But it was interesting that Kalani got the win here. Nikita still looks strong, though, because there was a distraction from Adriana Rizzo, who now we know Nikita attacked her backstage last week. That's why Rizzo was getting her.
So let me ask you a question. I was very surprised Nikita didn't win this match.
Yeah, but I mean, they did that thing though. It's like, well, she didn't win because Adriana came out and made the distraction.
True. It's a good out. It's a good out. It is. You're right. I just thought when she was coming back, they were going to make her just dominating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she did the attack last week, and so I wonder. I mean, we're got to get the story right. And then Obafemi now maybe not on NXT anymore after Halloween Havoc. Maybe he got the call up, is what everyone's speculating. So a week ago, it looked like him and Nikita were in cahoots with going against the D'Angelos, but now maybe she's on her own. So we'll find out what happened.
What show do you think Obafemi fits best on? Because you got to remember, they only have so much time each week. Do they have time to spotlight him properly like they've done Braun Breaker?
I mean, I think SmackDown for that reason, because SmackDown doesn't have Braun and it doesn't have Gunther. Okay. He could be the dominant force on SmackDown, especially if SmackDown's going to 3 hours.
Okay. Yeah, that was much easier than I thought it would be. Okay.
Yeah. And you could just have him like destroying guys, but I mean, he's got to take that title off LA Knight though at some point. Like you can't build him.
LA Knight's too big for that title to begin with.
Yeah, and then have LA go after Cody.
He surpassed that title already.
Yeah.
And they were late. And by the way, they were late putting that title on.
Very late.
Right?
But Oba could be like a bigger version than what they did with Braun Strowman when he had his call up. Like Oba should have that kind of run.
I agree with that.
You know?
What do you think of his ability to speak? Does he have to? Do you give him a manager?
I think the way he talks is very commanding and he has presence. You know what I mean?
It is, but you're going to have to be able to talk once you're up there. You have to talk people into the building somehow. Yeah.
It's interesting, though, because for a big man, he doesn't do like what Braun did. I mean, Braun Strowman. Yeah, exactly. Oba does not do that.
And I used to make that mistake myself as a big guy, thinking that's what everybody wants to hear out of me when I first started, right? And I'd copy the Goldbergs, the Batistas, et cetera, in the beginning.
Oba could just make those eyes at people and breathe heavy, and people would freak out.
Do you remember Ahmed Johnson? I hate to make this comparison, but Ahmed, listen, people make
Yeah.
fun of him now, and I don't know why. When he first was coming up on the come up with WWE, he was such a flipping star. It wasn't even funny.
Yeah.
Like people forget that he was such the next big thing. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Seriously, go back in time, folks. I'm not exaggerating this.
Yeah.
All right, because now we hear all these other anecdotal stories about him in the locker room, and this guy beat him up, or this guy did this to him, or this guy hated him, whatever the story was. When I was watching it back when I was in college, that dude, our whole dorm would go crazy over. Like he was supposed to be a very big deal. And they did a good job of putting him in places where he can succeed and look like a monster, an unbeatable monster at that.
Yeah.
Like he jobbed Vader out like in a 3.5 minute match. I'll never forget that on Raw. And Vader was supposed to be, the man they call Vader, and they brought him in. This is before the shit with Shawn Michaels started.
Yeah.
There's definitely like you can do it with talents if you know how to hide their weaknesses and play to their strength, like they did obviously with Ahmed Johnson. They didn't let him talk for too long because then
I
he
mean,
would talk you out of the building. And he was like, wait a minute, this guy's voice, like me, this is one of my flaws. My voice never fit my size. People
yeah.
always forgot really quick. This dude's 7 feet legitimate tall and
Yeah.
330 plus pounds. But because of how I moved in the ring and how I talked in a microphone, even worse, never matched that Undertaker voice. He had the best commanding, deep baritone voice to match that size that made you intimidated of him.
I mean, I feel like when I hear the way you talk in promos versus that you talk in real life, and I do not mean this. I know you talked about you had speech therapy
Oh, yeah.
as a child. You do the same thing that I do, where it's like I can tell that you're a little sensitive to that your voice, like you put extra bass in your voice.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Because you have to, especially as a
Yeah.
bigger guy. You have to.
But I think that if you would have committed more to like an affect, not an accent, but like if you'd done more of a character voice, I think maybe that would have worked better.
Tried. Yeah, I swear to God I did. And it was like Vince would say, people are never going to pay for an educated giant. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get
And
it.
that's what Paul Heyman was trying to convince him of when I got first pulled up with me and Nathan. And me and Nathan Jones on our debut had to make a run-in and to announce that we're going to be on Team Lesnar, unbeknownst to the fans just yet. And we had to make a run-in to save Brock Lesnar and I think it was Big Show getting their ass kicked by Benoit and Kurt Angle. And we're supposed to make a run-in because they both had them in their submission holds. I was supposed to run in, bicycle kick Kurt in the face, then power bomb him. Nathan was supposed to do a gut red suplex to Chris, I think. But when we were running out, but right before we ran out, they're like, guys, Kurt and Chris are not in the right place. And so while we're jogging out, I'm telling Nathan what way to go. You can see it on film. And when I got back to the curtain, Vince and Michael Hayes is like, wow, you're a smart guy. You're a lot smarter than we thought you would be with just 8 months of wrestling experience. And Paul Heyman pulled me aside. He goes, that's what your gimmick needs to be. You're a thinking man's giant. You're college educated. You have this high IQ. You're a former college athlete. Da, 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 da. And so I try to put that into the blueprint persona and pitch to Vince that time. But Vince was turned off when I started talking about like this perfect giant 2.0 synthetically created, Frankenstein monster that Vince McMahon himself created, right? Is Dr. Frankenstein on the operating table? If he could combine Andre, Big John Studd, Undertaker, Kane, Kevin Nash, all the successful giants before me, Ernie Ladd. But that was Paul Heyman's the first to pull me aside and goes, that needs to be your shtick. It needs to be like you're this. And man, Vince, for whatever reasons, like people will never pay to see a thinking man's giant or an intelligent giant. He always thought the bigger you were, you have to have this humongous Achilles heel. Yeah. And then maybe about a year and a half later, let's introduce Matt to stuttering. We've all gone. That'll draw him, Vince. Hey, Vince, that'll draw them.
Well, we've all had the experience of going up to an attractive woman in the nightclub, and then she has a low voice when she starts talking to you.
You still remember the story. Thank you. And the analogy he gave me that I still to this day don't understand and never have witnessed ever.
Bigfoot Sneaker at $1.99 super chat saying, give Oba a manager similar to MVP as a mouthpiece. Hey, I'm here for it.
And he's a hell of a mouthpiece for the record. I'm a big fan of MVP on promos. What he's doing in AEW, I like a lot, by the way.
We had Rhea Ripley show up backstage talking with the babyface women's contingent, and then she got attacked by Liv Morgan in the parking lot, so furthering some storyline there.
Awesome storyline layering. That was perfectly done.
Yeah. Ridge Holland and Ethan Page have their differences, but they're going to come together now and face Bubba Ray Dudley and Trick Williams next week in a tag match.
So, this is my only weak spot.
Okay.
Where the hell is Ridge Holland come into all of this?
I don't know, man.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be a dick.
I know.
That is a very talented roster, Glenn. Why are they spending any minutes on this guy? No disrespect to him. He's had his opportunity. He's had it again. There's so many other hungry talents there. What's my man's name? Who's got like the highest vertically?
Oh, Javon Evans.
Okay, give him that time. There's some like I love that guy. There's so many other talents. I'm not gonna say more deserving, but like it's like when I came back to Ohio Valley Wrestling after I debuted on SmackDown as part of Team Lesnar. I was there for like 6 to 8 months working in semi to main events, right? And then they pulled me back to OVW. When I went back down, I was grateful, but at the same time, I was like, I'm taking a spot, and Jimmy put the title on me. This should be a spot for like an Elijah Burke, Johnny Jeter, Chris Cage, or Mark Magnus went on to become Muhammad Hassan. People like that were still on their come up. And that's what I think NXT is too. So I don't understand why they're putting time into him here, but I'll digress.
I mean, Ridge and Ethan together to me are like, but maybe this could work. Maybe this could somehow.
Those two would never ever hang out in real life anywhere.
I know, but I don't particularly like either of them. And together, I'm like, together they might somehow suck even more.
Ethan Page, shame on you.
Just not
right now. Take it back on the record. Take it back.
I get what Ethan's gimmick is.
It's hilarious. He's the best. I love what a dick
That's okay. That's okay.
Great at being a dick.
Yeah. So maybe him and Rich together will be like Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Maybe somehow the sum of their parts, 1 + 1 will equal 3. I don't know. I don't get it, but they're going to have that match next week. Main event, though, tonight, Fraxium went up against Cedric Alexander and Javon Evans for the NXT Tag Team Championship. Fraxium retained, but great match. But man, they're so high on Javon Evans, and I like to call out again that I was one of the first to see potential in this guy.
Oh, thank you for saying I was the first to ever say it in internet history. Thank you, Glenn. Thanks for acknowledging that fact. Thank you, buddy.
Anyhow, Wesley came in and was attacking Javon, and so it looks like they're going to have something. RVD was there, so they're setting up something big for Javon Evans and Wesley next week.
Love it. Love all of that. Great storyline layering. But and storytelling overall, but again, that Javon Evans is so damn impressive.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
And I know, Matt, there's tons of great athletes in AEW and other companies that are just athletes and da. This guy has the other part of the package, though, I will argue.
Yeah. He's a lot of fun, very charismatic.
Yes, dude, it drenches off, like it freaking beads off him like sweat, his charisma. It's insane. It's that people say that it factor that you can't really explain or put like a label on. He has that.
Yeah. I mean, this was a hot ending of the show. But again, like when we talk about everything that happened tonight, I was like, not a lot happened for a 2-hour show.
I thought so. I thought it was great mixing in there with, like you said, Rhea Ripley and her.
What we got was good. Don't get me wrong.
Roster while getting over younger talent in NXT, right? Give them the rub. The tag match was absolute insanity. I'll put that tag match against any keep saying mainstream, Raw or SmackDown tag team match, and tell me where the flaws are because I don't see them. The promo with Trick and Bubba was awesome. I really liked it. Maybe because I'm older. I don't know, but I did like it. And then you have all the great success we saw from literally all of the female talents that wrestled matches tonight. There wasn't like one bomber female match tonight. All were very good.
No, it was really good.
I like the show. I'm here. I enjoyed it. And I'm full of energy, which I'm normally not at this time. I'm passed out sleeping usually.
It was a breezy watch. It was easy to enjoy. It didn't overdo it.
What would you like to have seen?
I just like the weird stuff. I want some weird new gimmick. Well, I want a weird new gimmick. I want something I want some more vignettes. I want another off
Like
the wall
somebody's
sort of,
coming and it's somebody
yeah,
like
somebody's
chopping his head
coming
off or
and
something, or what?
I don't know. They're like I'm trying to think of a weird vocation or something, but
Vocation.
yeah, like I want a new wrestler, and it's like, oh, they're really into gardening, but they were also a collegiate, pole vaulter, but they're really into gardening, and they're gonna come to shake up the NXT roster.
You're killing me. Killing me.
Like I just, you know what I mean? Like I like the funkiness.
Really into gardening.
It's like I'm the gardener and I'm gonna make mulch out of you. I'm gonna make mulch out of the roster on NXT.
No, so here's the deal: we don't want more because they are
I know they have too much,
and our favorites won't get enough time.
But do you ever? It's like the buffet theory. It's like when you go somewhere and you're just like, oh my god, this just never ends. It's just option and option and option and option and option.
Like, okay, so am I being a prisoner of the moment? Fans in the comment section, tell me, and I'll listen to you guys.
Yeah.
Am I being a prisoner of the moment by saying this as of right now? This is with Roman Reigns coming back and what we're seeing with the bloodline, and I'm very intrigued by that storyline. I absolutely am. It's my favorite storyline in the business. It's been for the last few years. But am I overrating this and being a prisoner of the moment by saying I am more intrigued with what's happening on my NXT storylines than I am for an entire episode of Raw and an entire episode of SmackDown? I'm more intrigued by an entire episode of NXT.
That's interesting. I mean, I certainly agree with that, but I'm curious what the chat thinks.
I
feel
never thought I would say those words, PS, ever.
With the main roster, there's so much they have to do to service. Like, well, what's Cody's next feud going to be? And then we have Crown Jewel coming up, and then we got War Games coming after that. And we've got this, and we've got big plans for LA Knight with the title. So we're going to have this Andrade Carmelo thing go on, and then we're going to fold it in, but who knows what's going to happen. Like, yeah, it's your boy Ricky Sinclair saying NXT just flows fluidly. This feels like a more, it feels more natural, the pacing of it.
Ricky? Yeah, I agree with him.
Now, that being said, I will say that before NXT happened, it did feel like they were dragging things out before the CW. NXT is what made that interesting.
All right, so don't be upset with me. We got to end because I got to take a pee so bad.
Okay, Vince McMahon's starting a studio. It's not wrestling related. He's probably going to finance a bunch of like direct-to-video action movies or some shit. Who knows? But that was the other big news today.
I'm not trying to be morbid. I'm not trying to be a jerk here. He's only got X amount of years left, like on the planet. Like, what is he? Why?
Has creative ideas, Matt, that apparently
have to come out.
Apparently, much like what you need to go do in the bathroom. Vince McMahon has a yearning. I don't know.
To urinate?
I don't know.
In the toilet like me right now, because it's killing me. It's burning me. We gotta go.
Okay. Matt's gonna go. Yeah, I don't care what Vince McMahon does next. But Matt, you go relieve yourself. We'll be back here next time on Gigantic Pop, everybody. Like, share, subscribe. Take care.
Thank you, guys.